Welcome back to The Clean Truth by Roobi.
It is so great to be back.
Yeah, and this is actually our 24th episode, which we are calling Better for Sensitive Skin, What to Know About Everyday Laundry Ingredients. And I'm super excited about this one because well, it's a topic that hits really close to home for a lot of you listeners.
Oh, definitely. I mean, so many people are walking around dealing with sensitive skin or, chronic irritation or even conditions like eczema, and they're completely in the dark about it.
Right. They're trying all these different creams and diets totally without realizing that their laundry detergent might be a massive contributing factor.
Yeah, the medical insights on this are actually kind of staggering when you dig into them. I mean, common detergent ingredients, we're talking about fragrances, synthetic dyes, preservatives, and these really strong surfactants. They actively irritate the skin, and they can severely worsen conditions like eczema.
Especially in babies, right? Or just anyone with a compromised skin barrier.
Exactly. Babies have incredibly delicate skin. So when you expose them to these harsh industrial chemicals, their immune system just flares up.
And what's wild to me is that it's not just about the washing machine, it's about what happens after. Because detergent residue gets left behind in the fabrics, right? So it stays in direct contact with your skin literally throughout the entire day, which drastically increases the risk of irritation.
It's a continuous exposure loop. That is why emphasizing the importance of choosing simpler, gentler formulations is so critical. You need products specifically designed for sensitive skin, with fewer irritants and just, much more controlled exposure.
Which is exactly why we're so proud of Roobi's baby laundry detergent sheets. I mean, they are specifically designed to be low residue. They have super simplified ingredients, and they are perfectly suited for that delicate skin we were just talking about.
Right, because you want peace of mind. You don't want to be guessing if your clothes are secretly attacking you.
Totally. So let's take a closer look at what's really in your laundry detergent and how it might be affecting your skin.
Yeah, and to really unpack this, we are pulling all of our insights today from a fantastic, comprehensive medical article published by Healthline.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's titled Eczema and Laundry, How to Choose an Eczema-Safe Detergent. And it was medically reviewed by Bucky Urimu, who is an advanced practice registered nurse. And it's a phenomenal source because it bridges these two worlds that we usually keep completely separate, dermatology and household chores.
Right. I mean, that separation is what totally fascinates me because think about it. You and probably almost everyone listening to this deep dive right now spend a considerable amount of time and energy and money on your skin.
Oh, thousands of dollars a year for some people.
Easily. People curate these intricate, 10-step evening routines for their face. They are scrutinizing the back of every single lotion bottle. They avoid harsh chemicals. They make sure their body wash has exactly the right pH balance.
We treat our skin like it's delicate silk.
Exactly. But then we take our clean, carefully moisturized bodies and we just wrap them in clothes that we've essentially marinated in a vat of industrial chemicals.
The contrast is honestly jarring when you put it like that. We are just highly vigilant about the serum we put on our face for 10 minutes, but completely blind to the fabric we drape over our entire body for 24 hours a day.
It's so true. I want you, the listener, to just imagine your favorite softest t-shirt right now. You put it on, expecting it to feel comforting, right? But what if that shirt is actually giving you I call it a chemical hug.
A chemical hug. I like that.
Right. What if it's wrapped in these microscopic, invisible irritants that are just silently provoking your immune system all day long, and you've been sitting there blaming your skin issues on your diet or the weather this whole time?
That phrase, a chemical hug, perfectly captures the mechanism of what is actually happening. Because to understand why your t-shirt or your bed sheets are causing flare-ups, we have to look inside the detergent bottle itself.
Right. What is actually in there?
Well, the Healthline article points out this really harsh reality. The primary culprits triggering eczema are the exact ingredients engineered to make our clothes seem clean. We were talking about fragrances, perfumes, strong surfactants, preservatives, dyes, and optical brighteners.
Okay, I have a theory about this. Our obsession with the word clean. Because I feel like society, and honestly, decades of really clever marketing, they've successfully hijacked our sensory expectations.
Oh, absolutely. How so?
We've been trained to equate smelling like a quote-unquote spring meadow with being sanitary. Like, if I pull a towel out of the dryer and it doesn't smell like some artificial ocean breeze, my brain immediately flags it as dirty.
Right, it feels wrong.
Yeah. So are we essentially just washing our clothes in liquid perfume?
Honestly, that is a highly accurate way to describe it. Because true cleanliness actually has no scent at all. I mean, the absence of odor is the literal definition of clean fabric.
Wait, really? No scent at all?
Zero. When your clothes smell like a spring meadow for weeks after washing, you are smelling volatile organic compounds. These are synthetic chemicals that are intentionally designed with molecular hooks. They physically bind to the fabric fibers so they don't wash down the drain.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're formulated to slowly release those scents over time as they get exposed to your body heat and friction.
So they are literally engineered to linger on the fabric, like they're designed not to rinse out.
That is the core of the entire problem. For someone with sensitive skin or eczema, the skin barrier is already compromised, right? A healthy skin barrier acts like a brick wall, keeping moisture in and pathogens out.
Okay, a brick wall.
But eczema means the mortar between those bricks is crumbling. The skin is lacking the natural oils and proteins it needs to defend itself. So when you introduce lingering synthetic chemicals to that broken wall, it is just a disaster.
That makes total sense. So what are the specific chemicals the source says we need to look out for on our labels?
It's a dense list, but it's super crucial. You're looking for ethanol, cocamidopropylbutane, propylene glycol, urea, lanolin, and retinoids.
Okay, hold on. Those sound more appropriate for an industrial laboratory than for my underwear drawer.
Right.
I mean, I recognize a few of those from skincare, but what are they actually doing in a washing machine?
Let's break down the mechanics of it. Cocamidopropylbutane, for example, is a surfactant. Surfactants are completely necessary for washing because they break the surface tension of water, right? That allows it to mix with dirt and body oils so they can be lifted away.
Okay, so we need surfactants to actually get the grease out.
Yes, but the problem is, strong surfactants don't distinguish between the grease on your shirt and the vital natural lipids on your skin. So when residue from that surfactant rubs against your body all day, it actively strips away your skin's protective oils.
Yikes. Okay, and what about the others, like propylene glycol?
So propylene glycol is used as a solvent and a stabilizer. It basically keeps the liquid detergent from separating in the bottle so it looks pretty on the shelf. But on the skin, it is a known penetration enhancer.
A penetration enhancer, what does that mean?
It means it actually helps other irritating chemicals dive even deeper into your compromised skin barrier.
That is terrifying. It's like opening the gates for the invading army.
That is exactly what it is.
And what about optical brighteners? Because that term always sounds like a science fiction concept to me. Do they actually make the clothes cleaner, or is it just another sensory trick?
It is entirely an optical illusion. Over time, white fabrics naturally take on a slight yellowish tint. Optical brighteners are literally fluorescent chemicals. They absorb invisible ultraviolet light from the environment, and they re-emit it as visible blue light.
Oh, so the blue cancels out the yellow.
Precisely. That blue light counteracts the yellow, tricking your eye into seeing a crisp, bright white. But for this illusion to work, those fluorescent chemicals must permanently coat the fabric. So you're wearing a layer of light-reflecting synthetics that press directly against your skin barrier all day long.
So the very things that make our clothes look and smell perfect are the exact things destroying our skin.
Unfortunately, yes.
But here is where I think a lot of us fall into a trap, especially people who are trying to be health conscious. The article actually calls out essential oils.
Oh, this is a big one.
Right, because we go to the store, we look for a detergent that says all natural or plant-based. We see like lavender essential oil on the label, and we just assume it's totally safe because natural means gentle.
Look,
Right.
it is one of the most common and honestly most dangerous misconceptions in dermatology. Natural does not mean hypoallergenic. Essential oils are highly concentrated, volatile plant extracts.
But they're not from a lab, so aren't they better?
Well, they're not synthesized in the lab, true, but they contain incredibly complex chemical structures. A single drop of lavender oil contains hundreds of different organic compounds, and many of them are notorious for triggering allergic contact dermatitis.
Wow. Hundreds of compounds in one drop.
Exactly. Your immune system doesn't care if the irritant came from a petroleum byproduct or some picturesque organic lavender field. It just recognizes a foreign chemical penetrating the broken skin barrier, and it launches an inflammatory attack.
An attack is an attack, regardless of the origin story. Okay, so knowing that these ingredients, whether they're synthetic fragrances, strong surfactants, or even natural essential oils, knowing they are the enemy, we have to talk about how they physically get left behind on the fabric.
Right, the application matters just as much as the ingredients.
Because it's not just about what you pour into that little detergent cup.
Right.
It's about what refuses to wash out.
Which brings us to a crucial recommendation from the National Eczema Association, which the Healthline piece highlights. You should always choose liquid detergent over powder.
See, I always assumed liquid was just recommended because it's easier to measure or maybe it's less concentrated. Does it actually interact with the fabric differently?
It completely comes down to thermodynamics and solubility. Powder detergents are composed of tiny, concentrated chemical granules. In a perfect scenario, right, with extremely hot water and a very long, vigorous wash cycle, those granules dissolve completely.
But nobody washes like that anymore.
Exactly. Most of us wash our clothes in cold water now to save energy, protect delicate fabrics, or prevent colors from fading. And in cold water, the dissolving process is severely hindered. The powder is far more likely to leave behind microscopic, undissolved crystal structures.
Oh, I see where this is going. If they don't dissolve, they get trapped in the weave of the fabric.
Bingo. Imagine microscopic grains of highly concentrated, harsh soap acting like sandpaper. As you move around during the day, those undissolved crystals physically abrade your inflamed skin, while simultaneously delivering concentrated dose of chemical irritants directly into the wound.
Okay, I am never buying powder again. That sounds awful.
Liquids are just inherently safer because they are already fully dissolved into a stable solution. So they disperse evenly in the water and, more importantly, they rinse out much more efficiently.
I call this the ghost in the machine problem. You throw your clothes in, you watch the water drain away, and you just assume the rinse cycle banished all the soap down the pipes. But the soap acts like a ghost, haunting the fabric.
Haunting the fabric, yeah.
So I know modern washing machines have an extra rinse button that I have literally never pressed in my entire life. Is that button the mechanical defense against this ghost?
It is absolutely your most powerful mechanical defense.
Yeah.
The article strongly recommends making the extra rinses setting a mandatory habit for eczema management.
Really? Mandatory?
Yes, because the first rinse cycle dilutes the soapy water, right? But a significant concentration of that water remains absorbed inside the textile fibers. The second flush of fresh water forces a new chemical equilibrium. It literally pulls those trapped, lingering surfactants and brighteners out of the fabric, washes them away.
It's such a straightforward fix. Just push the button. But this brings up a much larger issue about the whole household ecosystem.
What do you mean?
Well, let's say I follow all this advice. I switch to a liquid, fragrance-free, dye-free detergent. I am religiously using the extra rinse, but my partner, who I share a house with, absolutely refuses to give up their heavily scented, bright blue Meadow Fresh detergent.
The roommate problem.
Right. We are using the exact same washing machine. Am I still getting a chemical hug from their stuff? I call this laundry cross-contamination.
The source addresses this directly, actually, because multi-person households struggle with this constantly.
Yeah.
The ghost isn't just haunting your clothes, it is haunting the machine itself.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Heavily scented detergents and fabric softeners create a sticky biofilm. They leave a chemical residue that literally coats the internal metal drum, the rubber gaskets, and the drainage pipes of your washing machine.
So even if I use my completely safe, gentle detergent, the water in my cycle is just pulling the Meadow Fresh residue off the walls of the drum and depositing it onto my clothes.
That is exactly what happens.
How do we break that cycle without buying a second washing machine? Because that's not realistic for anybody.
The article outlines a two-step strategy for this. First, you must isolate the ecosystems. You have to wash the eczema-prone clothing completely separately. Never, ever mix sensitive items with scented items in the same load, because the safe clothes will just absorb the irritants from the other fabrics.
Okay, that's step one. Keep them separated.
Second, you have to address the drum residue itself. The recommendation is to run an empty, hot water cycle in between loads.
So just run the machine with nothing in it.
Right, you let the machine run a quick wash with no clothes and no detergent to literally flush out the scented biofilm left behind by your partner's load. It effectively resets the machine before your sensitive clothing goes in.
That requires some intense laundry room choreography, I'm not gonna lie.
It does take some planning.
But, I mean, if it prevents a week of painful skin flare-ups, it is absolutely worth the effort. And speaking of the laundry process, changing the detergent doesn't help if your habits are actively introducing new triggers. The article mentions brand new clothing, right?
Yes, new clothes are a huge trigger.
I have always loved the crisp, perfect feel of a new shirt right off the rack. I usually just, cut the tags off and put it right on.
Which is terrible for your skin. That crisp, perfect feel is achieved entirely through chemistry. Textiles manufactured for retail are coated in heavy chemical finishes. This is to keep them wrinkle-free and protected from mildew during global shipping and sitting in warehouse storage for months.
Mildew protection.
Yes. And some of these finishes even contain formaldehyde-releasing agents.
Formaldehyde, like embalming fluid.
Exactly. So for someone with a compromised skin barrier, wearing unwashed new clothing is honestly like walking into a chemical minefield. The absolute rule is to wash all new clothing and linens before they ever make contact with your skin, just to strip those industrial treatments away.
Okay, noted. Always wash new stuff. But what about the drying process? Because I have always had this romanticized idea that hanging clothes on a line outside, in the fresh air and sunshine, is the most natural, wholesome way to do laundry. It just feels like it should be the healthiest option.
It's a very picturesque idea, but medically speaking, it is a significant risk for reactive skin.
Yeah.
Think about what a large piece of wet, sticky fabric acts like when it's just blowing in the wind.
A sail.
It becomes a giant net for environmental allergens. High pollen counts, mold spores, pollution particles from car exhaust, and dust. They all easily stick to the damp fibers as they dry. You are essentially gathering outdoor allergens and bringing them inside to press directly against your vulnerable skin.
Oh, that sounds awful when you put it like that.
Yeah, the medical recommendation is to just use a conventional indoor dryer.
Okay, the rustic clothesline is officially banned, and I am guessing, based on our earlier conversation about chemical coatings, that those heavily perfumed dryer sheets and liquid fabric softeners are also totally off the table.
They need to be eliminated from your routine entirely. Fabric softeners don't actually soften the physical fibers of the textile at all.
Wait, they don't? Then what are they doing?
They work by depositing a thin layer of waxy, lipid-like chemicals onto your clothes to make them feel artificially smooth. So this waxy coating not only contains massive amounts of fragrance, but it also reduces the breathability of the fabric. It traps your body heat and sweat against your skin.
Which is the exact opposite of what you want for eczema management.
Exactly. It's
Well,
suffocating the skin.
that makes perfect sense. But it leaves us with a huge practical problem. What do we do when our towels start feeling like rough cardboard? Because nobody wants that.
You'd turn to simpler, natural chemical alternatives that don't leave a coating. The source suggests using common white vinegar or just baking soda right in the wash cycle.
Oh, really? Just regular vinegar?
Yeah. They help balance the pH of the water, and they naturally soften hard water minerals. That reduces fabric stiffness without depositing any kind of waxy residue. And for the dryer itself, wool or silicone dryer balls are excellent.
I've seen those, the little wool balls.
They're great. They mechanically soften the clothes by bouncing around, separating the fibers, and increasing airflow, rather than using a chemical cheat code.
Okay, so we have completely overhauled the laundry room. We understand the chemistry of the irritants. We've switched to liquid. We're utilizing the extra rinse. We are flushing the machine to prevent cross-contamination. And we've banished the fabric softeners.
It's a solid foundation.
But a skin condition like eczema isn't just solved in the laundry room, right? The Healthline article goes way beyond the washing machine, exploring how our lifestyle habits have to work in tandem with our clean clothes.
Definitely. Managing eczema requires a truly holistic approach. Once you have cleared the chemical trods from your fabrics, you must turn your attention to the daily environmental stressors that attack the skin barrier from the outside and the internal stressors that attack it from the inside.
Let's focus on the outside first. How does the article recommend we physically handle our skin on a daily basis? I'm assuming the way we bathe plays a huge role.
The bathing routine is critical, and it mostly comes down to minimizing shock and friction. A long, hot, steamy bath might sound like the ultimate relaxation tool, but hot water is absolutely devastating to compromised skin.
Because of the heat?
Yes. Heat accelerates the breakdown of the natural lipid layer. It melts away the mortar holding those skin barrier bricks together. The source strongly advises keeping showers short and using warm water, not hot, to preserve those essential oils.
So we avoid thermal shock. Got it. What about the friction aspect?
Well, think about the mechanical shear stress of a towel. Vigorous rubbing aggressively slews off the fragile top layer of the stratum corneum, which is the skin's outermost defense.
So no aggressive toweling off.
Exactly. You must train yourself to gently pat the skin dry. And timing is everything here. Within 3 minutes of patting dry, while the skin is still slightly damp, you need to lock in the remaining hydration.
3 minutes? That's a pretty tight window.
It is, but it's essential. The article stresses applying a thick, dye-free, chemical-free ointment or cream immediately to artificially recreate the barrier that your body is currently struggling to maintain.
This is causing a huge light bulb moment for me right now.
Oh, yeah?
When I look at the rules for the laundry room and the rules for bathing the body, they are essentially the exact same principles.
How do you mean?
Think about the parallels. For laundry, we said avoid harsh heat, right? Wash in colder or warm water so you don't degrade the fabric. For the body, we say avoid hot water so you don't degrade the lipid barrier.
Okay, I see where you're going with this.
For laundry, we switch to liquid to avoid the harsh physical abrasion of undissolved powder crystals. For the body, we say pat dry, avoiding the harsh physical abrasion of a rough towel. And for both environments, the absolute golden rule is no added artificial fragrances or dyes. The secret to managing sensitive skin is to literally treat your actual body with the same gentle, protective care you would use to wash a delicate, expensive silk garment.
That is a brilliant synthesis of the core mechanisms, honestly. The principles of preservation are identical across both domains. You minimize stress, you avoid harsh chemistry, and you protect the structural integrity.
It's all about protection.
And speaking of minimizing stress, the source expands on this by looking at internal triggers, too. Emotional stress and anxiety cause your body to spike its cortisol levels.
Oh, cortisol, the stress hormone.
Right. High cortisol triggers an overproduction of inflammatory cytokines. These travel throughout the body and manifest as severe itching and redness directly on the skin. It physically delays the barrier's ability to repair itself.
Which just creates a vicious cycle, right? The stress causes the itch causes you to scratch, scratching breaks the barrier further, and that causes more stress.
Precisely why the article emphasizes active stress management techniques alongside the laundry and bathing changes. Incorporating mindfulness, yoga, tai chi, or acupressure helps calm the central nervous system, which in turn signals the immune system to just stop overreacting at the skin level.
Makes sense.
You also need to manage environmental variables. Wear soft, breathable, loose-fitting clothing to minimize friction throughout the day, and be highly mindful of sudden temperature changes or pet dander, which act as immediate immune triggers.
Okay, but let's play devil's advocate. Let's say a listener implements every single thing we've talked about. The laundry routine is flawless, the showers are warm, the moisture is locked in, they are managing their stress like a Zen master, and yet the skin is still angry and inflamed. What is the next step?
The source is very clear on this. Lifestyle overhauls are the foundation, but they are not a substitute for medical intervention when the condition is severe.
So go see a professional.
Absolutely. If you have removed the triggers and the inflammation persists, it is time to consult a doctor or a dermatologist. You may require prescription topical corticosteroids to actively suppress the localized immune response, or even oral medications to break a severe cycle of systemic inflammation. You build the safe environment first, but you bring in the medical heavy lifters when the body actually needs them.
That's great advice. So let's quickly recap the actionable takeaways for you, the listener, to ensure you can implement this immediately. Your mission this week is to walk into your laundry room and audit those plastic jugs.
Be ruthless.
Totally ruthless. You are looking to eliminate optical brighteners, harsh surfactants, and yes, even essential oils. Seek out the words dye-free and fragrance-free. You are going to swap your powder detergent for liquid to avoid microscopic crystal abrasion. You are going to become best friends with the extra rinse button on your machine.
The ghost in the machine.
Yes. You'll separate your clothes from the heavily scented items in your household and flush the drum if necessary. And finally, you are going to approach your daily shower with the mindset of preserving delicate silk warm water, gentle patting, and immediate moisturizing.
Those foundational steps will dramatically reduce your exposure to daily irritants. But I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over as we conclude today.
Oh, I love a final thought. Hit us with it.
We have spent this entire deep dive analyzing the fabrics we actively wash, right? The t-shirts, the towels, the bed sheets. We've explored how chemical residue clings to them, creating that invisible chemical hug.
Oh, we have.
But consider the hidden fabrics in your environment that you never put in the washing machine. Think about your living room sofa. Think about the upholstery in your car seats or your office chair.
Oh, wow. I didn't even think about those.
These fabrics are heavily treated at the factory with industrial flame retardants, stain repellents, and chemical dyes designed to last for decades. We sit on them, we sweat on them, and we rub our bare skin against them for hours every single day.
That is wow.
So the question is, how much chemical residue are we passively absorbing from our environment? And could those unwashed permanent fabrics be the missing link to truly understanding our skin's health?
I am never going to look at my living room couch the same way again. It's like the chemical hug is just permanently embedded in the furniture. That is a phenomenal question to think about the next time you sit down to relax. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Take a much closer look at the labels in your laundry room, protect your skin barrier, and until next time, keep questioning what you think you know.